And we're live. Okay, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Return of the Kings, the healing conversation for Black men. So happy that you have decided to join us for this wonderful conversation today. We have one more person. Hold on one second. Okay. Hello, a life a lot. Welcome.
Right.
Yes.
You
Can
can't?
you hear
I
us
can't hear
okay?
y'all. That's going to be a problem.
Can you hear us?
I can't even fix my mic. Let's see. I'm a technical difficulty guy, huh?
No worries. While we get that situated, I'm going to just start the program. So welcome to this wonderful panel discussion that we have today. This is a Healing Element podcast special. I am your host, Kai Marie. If this is your first time hearing of me and my podcast, a pleasure to meet you. I am the creator and host of the Healing Element podcast. It's a weekly podcast that focuses on healing from intergenerational trauma. I am also a restorative therapeutic yoga teacher, as well as a comedic yoga instructor and a life experience coach. So today, my podcast is a special that focuses on Black men, just their mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. This came out of me just seeing a lack of spaces for Black men to be able to really have support systems to help them on their healing journey. And so I reached out to these wonderful people, shared my vision with them, and they were more than willing to have a conversation. Plus, they're all doing wonderful work in their community as well. So I'm so honored that they're here with me today. So this event is a 2-day special. So today we'll be talking about nutrition and health. And Thursday will be part 2, where we'll be talking about mental health and resiliency. So we hope that you also join for that session as well. So without further ado, I want to introduce my guests for tonight. First, we have Yasser Rahotep. I got to slow down. I'm talking too fast. Yasser Rahotep is a master instructor of Kemetic yoga, ancient Egyptian yoga, and the creator of Yoga Skills Method. He is the leader of the global Kemetic yoga movement with over 45 years of experience practicing and teaching. Kemetic yoga refers to the ancient African system of cosmology, spiritual philosophy, and practices of postures, breathing, and meditation that emerged out of ancient Egypt and Kush at an estimated 20,000 years ago. And it helped to form the foundation of the world and civilization. Yasser was involved with the original research and documentation of Kemetic yoga in his hometown of Chicago in the 1970s, along with his master teacher, Asar Hapi. He has trained and certified over 5,000 Kemetic yoga instructors across the globe. I am proud to be one of them. Through his school, Yoga Skills School of Kemetic Yoga, Yasser conducts teacher training courses and tours of ancient Egypt and many other parts of the African continent and diaspora. Yasser holds a master's degree in social service administration from the University of Chicago and inner city studies from Northeastern Illinois University, a BA in political science from the University of Illinois at Chicago, and has studied medical anthropology on the graduate level. Yasser is also a former adjunct professor at DePaul University in Chicago, where he's taught courses on yogi science, stress management, ancient wisdom and modern science, as well as cultural diversity and research methods. Welcome, Yasser. Such a pleasure to have you. Our next guest is Queen Nefertari. Hello, Queen. She's our only queen on the panel. She is founder and CEO of Wellness is Life. She provides yoga massage, intuitive body work for her clients. She's a yoga instructor, Thai massage therapist, and auricular therapy practitioner. Did I say it right?
Yes. Very good.
I've been practicing all day. In addition, she's also a Wakana CBD dispensary owner. Welcome, Queen Neff.
Thank you.
Next, we have Chef Cordell, welcome, welcome, welcome. He's a trained chef with a keen focus on accentuating healthy eating by any means necessary. Over the past 12 years, Eating Well with Chef Cordell has developed and it facilitated culinary programs for companies, schools, and individuals across the country. He targets improving the health of consumers through education, access to healthy and fresh foods, and community service. And man, can he cook. Welcome, Chef Cordell.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And last but surely not least, Alif Allah. So happy to have him here, especially with all the work that he's doing in the community in the Connecticut area where I used to live. He has a pedigree in working with the youth, being the son of a minister and of an elementary school teacher. He's, like I said, he's done extensive work in the Connecticut area, working with communities and really helping them to really have a conversation about health and wellness and making connections through different partnerships. He has traveled extensively abroad in England, Kenya, Zimbabwe, and Tanzania, and those experiences have led him to establish Hood Health. It's a new paradigm of addressing issues in the urban community. All of his efforts culminated in the writing of Hood Health Handbook, a practical guide to health and wellness in the urban community, of which he is the co-editor and contributor. He also became invested in projects and programs that deal with citizen science and connecting Black and Brown people to their role in science. The work resulted in the genesis of the Science of Self series, a series of books dealing with said topic, in which he co-authored of the first book in the series in the upcoming volume. This book is Science of Self, Man, God, and the Mathematical Language of Nature. His current focus is centered around radical self-care. Radical self-care addresses generational lineage of trauma within Black communities, introduces Black practices of collective healing, and utilizes innovations of Black techniques to present an optimum self in the face of stress in modern society. Welcome, Alif Allah. Such a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, I'm glad I finally got together to get here. You know, I wasn't hearing anything, couldn't hear myself speak. I'm here.
You're here. We got you now. We can hear you. So we are going to dive into the conversation. For those that are watching, I just wanted to share with you a little bit of how this program is going to go. First, I would like for all the presenters to give just some opening remarks. And then each speaker will be provided a topic, which they will kind of start the conversation, and other speakers are more than welcome to join in. And then we'll have a few takeaways. Those takeaways are for listeners, what they can begin to do to take steps, like literally tonight, take steps tomorrow that they can begin to change their life. And then starting around 9:15, we'll see how time goes. That's when we'll start taking any questions or any comments from our viewers. And then around 9:30 or so, we should be wrapping up. So with that being said, I do want to start off now with our panel. We'll start with Yasir. If you could just please provide some opening statements and sharing your thoughts on why it is important to have this conversation about Black men beginning to prioritize their physical and spiritual health, and the importance of understanding the value in maintaining healthy eating habits. So we'll start with you, and then we'll work our way down to Alif Allah.
Okay, we as Black people living in America, we have been in a crisis for a long time. We have been in a health crisis for at least 3 to 4 decades. And the way that we have been directed or led into eating and caring for our bodies is a methodology of the oppressive system that we live in. And so one of the things that we can do is changing the way that we eat, changing the way that we acquire food, and whether we grow it ourselves or whatever we do, is a revolutionary activity. Because once we start to do that, we break down a lot of various systems of oppression that we are under. And so so there's a very strong need for us to really change what we do. We have obesity, we have diabetes, we have hypertension, we have deterioration of our liver and our kidney. So we have all of these various types of centers in our community, you know, it's like for dialysis and kidney issues and stuff like that, you know. And so so I think one of the main mechanisms of oppression and of control is diet, is food, and also keeping states of ill health that allow them to profit from us, and also to keep us in a debilitated state so that we are not able to really do the things mentally and physically that we need to do to advance our goal of liberation.
I like that. And Chef Cordell, going to you, your thoughts on that as well, as far as the importance of us prioritizing our health and wellness, especially for Black men.
Well, just to piggyback on what you just said, you know, there's a reason why there are a lot of fast food restaurants in certain neighborhoods. There's a reason why there's a lack of grocery stores in certain neighborhoods. It's not that the people that live in these neighborhoods are incapable of understanding what fruits and vegetables are or what healthy food is, but as he was just saying, when you want to oppress people, you put certain things in place to make sure that they stay exactly where they are. So we are in a lot of trouble when it comes to our health. Not only as Black men, but as Black people, we are in a lot of trouble. There are very high rates of obesity, type 2, hypertension. Those are the things that are directly related to food. There are a preponderance of food deserts across major cities across the country. And that is done intentionally to be able to keep the health of these people that live in these neighborhoods, which are generally poor people, exactly where they are sick. So it's damaging. It's sad, you know. And when you look at the people that live in these neighborhoods specifically, if you look at these stats, they don't have readily access to transportation. So whether it's their own transportation or let's say public transit. So if you put people in neighborhoods that can't or don't have access to fresh and affordable food, and then now they don't have cars or transportation to go get food outside of the neighborhood, they're relegated to what they have right there. If they are able to, let's say, get on the bus or the train to be able to go a couple miles to go get some food on the bus or the train, how much stuff are they really going to be able to bring back? So unless they're making multiple trips to the grocery store every week, this is going to be a problem. So we are in a lot of trouble. There are some things that I think we can do to take back over our diets. For instance, in some of these food deserts, we have to stop waiting on grocery stores to come. They ain't coming. They just aren't coming. Like it took where I'm from in Chicago. I'm from the South Shore neighborhood, 79th and Jeffrey. For the people from the South Side, they would know this. On 71st and Jeffrey, there was a Dominick's there. Now this Dominick's was poor quality at the end. Once that Dominick's left, it took almost 10 plus years, I believe, for them to replace that grocery store. Now, from what I hear, there is a great grocery store there now that's great, but that's 10 years of bad health now and bad food choices because of that. So we need to stop waiting on them to come and fix the problem that we can if we pool our resources together. Like this is the time now to me. Like when you look at all the mayhem that's going on and neighborhoods are being torn down, burned down. This is the time now where we can be like, yo, you got this, you got this, you got this. Let's build our neighborhood exactly the way we want it to be now and going forward.
Right. Thank you, Chef Cordell, for that. So that's the thing. It's really us beginning to really take control and kind of for us to take control of our communities ourselves. And that's how we can bring about change. Kind of waiting for the powers that be to do it, that's just not going to work, as we've seen through history. Queen Neff, is anything that you would like to add to that, your thoughts on the importance of this conversation? Oh, you're on mute.
Absolutely. The part that grabs me is a recent situation where I had a 20-year-old in my car yesterday, black male, and my grandson, 7-year-old. And we went to a particular side I'm in Chicago, so we went to a particular area. And when we got there, the young man asked if there was a grocery store right there where we parked. And he wanted to know if he could go in there and get him something. I was like, sure, Now, of course, I was pretty sure he wasn't going to go in there and grab the healthiest snack, but 20, he's going in there and grabbing the snack. So he goes inside and he comes back out and he says, that was really interesting when I was in there, the prices of what I got. He said he had a bag of hot Funyuns and he had a artificial sweetener drink that he had, and he said, in my neighborhood, this would have been $1, but here it was almost like $2.50 for this bag, for the same size bag. He said, why is that? And, my explanation was to him, in our neighborhoods, this is the foods that are pushed. These are the foods that are recommended for our daily allowance. This is what we're given. These are the scraps. These are the sad diet, that is recommended for us. So of course they're going to make it easily accessible, more affordable than anything else. And so he never thought about it. He didn't know that was, and for me, it was kind of a shock because I wasn't expecting him to even be surprised. I would go into that store and I wouldn't purchase what he purchased, but I would go into that store, buy fruit, or something like that, a piece of fruit or, but, and that's the part that brings us to this discussion about mental health and about food and about nutrition for our men. This young man is an artist. He, wants to achieve certain goals. And I told him, I said, you have to think about the foods that you're putting in. If you're putting in, I told him, if you're putting in empty calories and empty nutrient, there's no nutrient base there, then you're not going to get brain food. You're not getting heart food. You're not getting liver food. You're just basically putting in just garbage into your body. So garbage in, garbage out. So, there's a lot of, there's a lot of, classes, there's a lot of workshops and things like that we need to go back to the ways of before and get that community action going in and grabbing these people, young people, and taking them to the local farms that are in the area. There's several local urban farms that are in the area. I live on 84th by South Lake Shore. There's Urban Growers Collective. It's right over here, and it's, food always available. They also, there's also ones that deliver. But if we don't have the knowledge of what fruit and vegetables, how beneficial it is for our health and taking that perspective, then we're not going to worry about what the local farm. We're going to be worrying about, well, there's no stores. Google, just like you can Google anything else, Google a local farm in your area, call them up, see what they can do for you and your family or in your community, or even start your own farm in your backyard, your own garden in your house or in their backyard. But it's all about teaching, what's important when it comes to nutrition, because nutrition is everything. It's our energy, it's our mind, it's our brain food, it's our everything. And it's not that we have to overindulge in food and eat a lot of it in excess, but it's about the quality. It's the quality of what we're putting into our bodies. And so that's what, a lot of my work is about, is letting people know, the importance of nutrients and minerals and, different components of food and how that helps with our mental state.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, that's so true. It's for us to go beyond basically what we've been conditioned to believe about food and just really changing that. And going to you, Olaifola, can you please add your perspective on the importance of this conversation of prioritizing health, especially as it relates to Black men?
I'm going to try to summarize that. All right. Well, the first thing that I would like to just kind of elephant back off of is I did this great farm intensive a few years ago at Soulfire Farm, which is a Black-owned farm in upstate New York. And my mind was blown. One of the terminologies that we utilize, that they taught me to utilize, which is actually was originated by a Black woman, they told me to utilize the term food apartheid. And they nailed that in my head, because a desert is a beautiful thing. It's got life there too, you know. And it's natural. It's supposed to be that way, right? You know, food apartheid puts the finger right on the pulse of the issue, which is that this is a deliberate system which was imposed in terms of biological and chemical warfare to the Black community. And the powers that be also are invested in keeping it that way. You know, so that's the first heavy thing that hit me. And so when we start to flip back the pages of history, we'll know that many of our ancestors who were enslaved and brought here and ended up in that Black belt, you know, they were thrown, not just thrown, but also valued because of their expertise in agriculture, right? So in many of our families, you don't have to go that far back to find somebody who knows how to grow something, you know. So the important thing that I took away from that is that, oh, that's my stuff, right? Oh, growing stuff, that's my stuff. You know, let me take that back. You know, the second part in terms of applying this to especially Black males is to let them know that putting something in the ground, digging that soil, putting your hands in the earth and peeling it back and putting down a seed and watching over it and putting water on it and watching over it as it grows and develops. Man, I don't know. That's kind of hardcore, right? So when I go to Black males in the hood, I let them know, you know, in terms of one of the things that we say we never have time for, but we need to do is eat, right? And so it would make sense that all those things that are connected to that are very, very important and vital, you know. Another thing that I wanted to just acknowledge with my opening remarks in terms of the beautiful time that we are in. And I call it the beautiful time only because it is a time, as many have mentioned already, that we can reassess, reinvent, replan, reinvigorate, and do the thing that we're supposed to be doing, right? And I've been referring to this time personally and professionally as the Red Spring. All right. And for those who you know your history, you know, we had the Spanish flu, right? In the early parts of last century. And that also coincided with the Red Summer of 1919. We had a whole bunch of uprising and race riots across the United States. Sounds a lot like what is going on now. And so I'm referring to this as the Red Spring so that we can also see how that kind of intersection back then, how that works for us now, and how we can take advantage of that in this day and time. But overall, I nail in the point that this is by design, taking away land, taking away, you know, redlining, Jim Crow. I mean, it's levels. We supposed to be dead. We all supposed to be dead after everything they brought at us, but we're not, because this is who we are. They just didn't know. So it's important for me to stress to Black males in terms of that foundation of life and nutrient and nurturing and making sure that your people are taken care of. Man, that's centered a lot around food.
Right.
You know, and it can be just as hardcore as anything else that they want to kind of envision or those values or elements that are important for, masculinity and things of that nature, that's just as important. You couldn't tell me anything about my father cooking pancakes in the morning and trying to tell me that wasn't hardcore. Getting up before my mother and cooking some pancakes and throwing them on the table and stuff. And she always let him make the pancakes because he made the better pancakes. But yeah, this is in our blood. Getting back to this stuff. This is also something which I have to just also thank everybody who's in this this chat right now, because I'm a fan of y'all. I want y'all to know that I'm a fan and a student of y'all. When she threw these names out, I was like, oh, okay. And I just, because I can ramble forever, but what I want to say is that it's essential, it's important, and just as the same way that we're taught as men in terms of put the right kind of gas in your car, is the same way that you can come at them in terms of put the right type of fuel in your body to get the job done.
Right. Beautifully said. And I think, during this time of quarantine where I know there are phases in which some cities, states are beginning to open up, but we have had a lot of downtime, which hopefully that's given some people time to kind of think, reevaluate a few things. And maybe, everything that we're being taught is definitely from a Western perspective here in this country. So it's time that we start to kind of question what we're being shown as to be the right way, and really begin to develop our own type of traditions and go back to the belief systems that we had before we kind of ended up to where we are today. And so hopefully through these type of conversations, we'll start to move even more so in that direction. I know everyone here is doing the work in their own community. And so us working together definitely helps push that message even more, that we do have the power to make changes within our communities. But first starts with self. And that happens when you're able to start getting healthy, taking care of this world that you have, that you kind of show up in the physical world every day, but first really taking care of home. So that leads us into our discussion topics, which I'll start off with one of our panelists, and then everybody can kind of jump in. So starting with you, Yasir, we see so much about eating healthy, right? So the past few years, veganism has taken off. We have vegan burgers, we have vegan sausages, we have vegan chicken nuggets. And so we have people that are saying they're vegetarian, pescatarian. I've now heard there's like this, a keto diet. So with all of these different things kind of floating around, can we really define like what eating healthy means? And then after Yasir, anyone can kind of jump in this conversation.
Well, excuse me, all of these different words are just like stereotypes. They don't really mean anything. Like you could be a vegan and you could be the most unhealthy person on the planet, because vegan just means you don't eat meat, but you can be eating French fries and beer and doing a whole bunch of other stuff that doesn't mean anything. A lot of people, over the years, I've been a vegan for 45 years, but I've been around different communities of people that advocate veganism, and they have high blood pressure, they have diabetes, they have a lot of different ailments, obesity, vegetarian. So they eat a whole bunch of oats, a whole bunch of rice, a whole bunch of bread, stuff like that, and they have every little green leafy vegetable type of stuff, in their diet. So for me, even all these different words and all these different titles, what we need to do is just understand what is the science of food. Understand that for our bodies to operate, we have certain things. Now, as a yogi, right, the first thing I would say is that your first source of nutrition is breath.
Sorry, it's a little hard to hear. You're fading a little in and out.
Okay, yeah, I'm hearing some kind of sound in the background. I don't know where it's coming from.
Okay, I'll mute mine and maybe that'll help.
Okay. Yeah, I was saying as a yogi, the first source of nutrition is breath. So you have to breathe because the breath is going to activate everything else, your digestion, your blood circulation, your respiration, the function of your kidneys and your liver and everything is dependent upon the breath. So you have to add breath. You can go for you can go for many days. I fasted for 40 days before, no food, I didn't die. You can go for weeks without water, even though you shouldn't. But you can only go for 5 minutes without air before you're going to expire. And so breath is your primary source of nutrition. After that, you have water, okay? The average person on an average, right? A rule of thumb is that you need half of your body weight in ounces of water. So if you weigh 200 pounds, you should get 100 ounces of water on a daily basis, on an average. After that, you got your fruit. You have to have fruit. Fruits are your cleansers. Fruits are your, they give you enzymes. They help to activate, different body processes and different metabolic processes. You get your vitamin C from your fruit, and you get vitamin C from other vegetables too. But from your citrus fruits and other types of acids and subacid fruits, you're going to get your vitamin C. And vitamin C is involved in almost every single metabolic process that your body goes through. You have to have vitamin C there, because vitamin C activates everything. It makes everything happen. And it also helps to cleanse the mucous membranes, to get rid of any substances in your body that may be infested with viruses and germs and bacteria and all kind of different things, and help to open up your bronchial passageway so you can breathe better. So every morning, the first thing I do, I'm going to get me some fruit that has lots of vitamin C. When I make my smoothie, I'm going to put vitamin C and stuff in there. I'm going to put fruit that contain vitamin C. The other issue is going to be B complex, right? So you can become a vegan, but a lot of times people are missing things like B complex vitamins, right? Because B complex and vitamin C, those are two nutrients that your body does not store. They are water soluble. You have two classes of nutrients. You have fat soluble vitamins, which are stored in the fat cells of your body. And you have water soluble, which are excreted. Once your body uses enough of it, you excrete them, so they're not stored. So that means that every single day, you have to get B complex into your body, and you have to get vitamin C into your body. And so B complex is going to allow your brain to take up the nutrients and use it for energy. Your brain uses 20% of all the energy that your body creates. You need it for your brain. And to be alert, to be focused, you have to have B complex. You need vitamin C. You also need B complex for your body to absorb nutrients, for your body to convert carbohydrates into glucose, because your muscles and your brain uptakes glucose to use it for energy. And you need, and so you need B complex in order to accomplish that. And you need vitamin C in order for B complex to be absorbed and utilized by your body. You need vitamin C in order to utilize iron, to utilize calcium, and many other nutrients, right? And these are not stored by your body. You have to get this into your system every day. So we as Black people, because we have melanin, right? We need fruits and vegetables even to a higher degree than the other folks do, right? Because melanin gives us certain advantages the other humans who are less melanated or unmelanated do not have. But at the same time, it causes us to have a need to be living a healthy lifestyle and to be in a healthy environment. That is what I believe is one of the reasons why our health deteriorates, in this environment that we are in now, in this Western environment, in this devitalized and environment where we don't have the nutrients and the things that our body need in terms of air, water, sun, earth, all of those things that we need, right? And so what I'm saying, so what I'm going to do is give a practical example of what we need to do as Black men. We need to learn how to breathe. That's the first thing. We need to engage in breathing exercises and other breathing practices like yoga, like Tai Chi, like pranayama and meditation and breathing exercises, so that we can fortify ourselves against the rigors of stress, because stress is what's killing us, right? The other thing we need to do is do very simple things to get these nutrients into our bodies. Don't take pills, don't take vitamins, make a smoothie, get you some superfoods, get you some get you some bee pollen. For the last 45 years, I've taken bee pollen almost every single day. Bee pollen is a superfood. A superfood means that it's a very concentrated source of energy that is also very digestible and assimilatable into your body. It takes very little to digest it and break it down, but it gives you a whole lot of energy in return. So economically or mathematically, right? You invest in a small amount, but you're getting a big amount back in return. That's economics to me. That's food economics. You get you some spirulina. Spirulina is a blue-green algae that grows on the surface of freshwater lakes. It's a one-cell organism, and it has all your B complex vitamins. It has all your amino acids. It has your chlorophyll. It has all the things that build your blood, right? And it's very easy to digest and to assimilate. And bee pollen is very similar, because bee pollen is the pollen from the flower, the reproductive material from the flower. And so the bees get that, and they make it into honey for the worker bees, and they make it into royal jelly for the queen bee. So it has everything in it. It's like taking sunlight, because we can't just eat sunlight, but we can absorb it through our skin. But we can also get the most natural source of sunlight, or available source of sunlight, in the form of plant. And so we're talking about bee pollen, we're talking about spirulina, and then you put that into a juice that's made from pineapple, orange, lemon, lime, whatever kind of juice you want to make. You blend it together, you throw some strawberries in there, get you some frozen organic strawberries, blueberries, throw it into your blender, and you drink that every day. That can make a significant change in your health status. The breathing, the drinking of water, and the making of that smoothie every day. Even if you don't change your entire diet, which you should, but if you just add that, that will make a significant change, and I don't want to take up all the time, but that would make a significant change in how you are living. This is very practical things. You can get a blender. You can just take out some time. And once you start to do your breathing, and once you start to, get into some meditation practices, you're going to lose your desire to even put some fried chicken or some dead pig into your body, or to take some type of, to take drugs and drink alcohol or smoke cigarettes and stuff. Your body's going to start to detox, and drinking that smoothie every day is going to help to detox your body. And there's a lot of other things you could add into that smoothie on a daily basis. You can put moringa powder, you can put a whole bunch of different things. You can take some flaxseed oil and put it in there, and you can get a lot of antioxidants. It's a whole lot of things that we can do on a very simple level, but just changing that morning drink that we put into our body can make a huge difference.
No, I think that's great advice, things that are like simple steps. I'm sorry, Chef Cordell, did you want to add to that?
No, I was just gonna say there are definitely, and you brought up some great points. There are definitely some practical steps that we can take now that can make a difference. Like we can't view health as this obscure thing that is so far out of our reach that now we just won't do it and we'll just go to what we're accustomed to. So we have to take those incremental steps. Working in fruit as much as possible, even introducing vegetables to breakfast is a different way, but it's an easy way. So, for instance, my breakfast routine for as long as I can remember, 4, 5, 6+ years, I'll have a cup or two of water first thing, let my body naturally kind of get started and flush itself out. Then I go to a couple of pieces of fruit. So generally, it's an apple or two, a kiwi or two, an orange or two, but I ended up with eating like 3 or 4 pieces of fruit. So I'm immediately now feeling alive. That's the difference between when the first thing you do is put sausage in your mouth in the morning. Then you go down. Like you're waking up, but you're putting something in your body that's dead. So now you're going down. But when you're up though, like I said, first thing water, 4 pieces of fruit, and then I slowly work my way into breakfast. And I know I've stopped eating meat for breakfast. It's very rare that I will eat meat for breakfast. And the only meat that I would eat would be a piece of turkey bacon or a piece of turkey sausage. But I've changed that completely. So I generally do three eggs, some brown rice, and a green vegetable or two after I've already worked in 3 to 4 pieces of fruit. So now I'm feeling great. But I think a lot of it though has to do with our lack of knowledge about how food directly correlates to health outcomes. Like I hear people say often in my classes that, diabetes runs in my family or hypertension runs in my family. No, you've had a lot of people in your family that have had it, and you may have a higher propensity for it based upon the foods that you eat or the foods that you are around. But if you were to change your diet, it would dramatically change. Like I don't think that medicine is a bad thing. I do think though we have an over reliance on it as the quick fix. Well, if I take this pill here, then I'll be okay. Medicine, in my opinion, should be used to get your body where it needs to be when it's deficient. After that point, your diet can overtake it. Now, I'm not a doctor, so I can't say get off your pills now, because if you drop dead, I don't want nobody blaming me. Okay. But at the same time, though, it truly can make a difference. I have seen people, I have witnessed it, where people were diabetic type 2. They did their pills for a bit, they changed their diet, and the doctor said you don't need the stuff. Like they were seeing the health benefits of it. So there are certain things though that we can do. Like we used to live off of the land. Like that's what we did for years and for years. Like my idealistic neighborhood would include not only all the essential services and businesses that we need to be able to function, thereby keeping our money within our neighborhoods and not having to take it anywhere else. One of my great friends, her name is Karen Wilson. She made one of the most simplest but profound statements ever to me. Grass is overrated. Like, what is grass for? Pull that stuff up and grow some food. To me, I would love to see blocks in Chicago or in Charlotte and everywhere where people are actually growing food. One neighbor will grow broccoli, one neighbor will grow this, one neighbor will grow this. And then when it's time to harvest, we actually share with each other. That's being self reliant. That's not having to wait on them to come and give us whatever they're going to give us, which generally is not going to be everything that we need anyway. So why are we still waiting on them? Why? But that goes to a different mindset though as well. But as Queen has said, um, there is a lot of nutrition, a lot of vitamins, a lot of minerals in fruits and vegetables. Like I tell clients and students often, when you go to the grocery store, and most grocery stores are set up the exact same way for the most part, if you think like about it. So all the essentials that we call ourselves essentials that we need, bread, eggs, milk, that's all the way back in the back, right? When you come in, generally you'll see the produce section nice and shiny, fruits and vegetables all waxed up. They got them hit with the bright light so you can see them. All the stuff you really need, though, is back in the back outside of the fruits and vegetables. In the middle is all the crap for the most part. Now, there is some good stuff in between the aisles, but in the middle, that's where a lot of the not so good stuff is. But I tell clients often that produce section, that's your pharmacy. Everything essentially that your body needs to be able to function and function at a high level is in this produce section. But if you don't understand that blueberries are good for memory, or it's a good brain food, if you don't understand that oranges are great for your immune system, they just taste good. If you don't have this education about how it can be of service and you don't know it, then you probably won't do it. But we really need to, in my opinion, like I'm almost through, we just really need to we need to let go of the habits of the past. The habits of the past clearly are not working. The habits of the past are clearly killing us. Clearly. Like, I love macaroni and cheese. I love fried chicken as much as anybody else does. But the rate that we're doing this, we are doing this to ourselves. At some point, we got to say, listen, let me push back from the table like a bit. Let me focus more on why I'm always feeling sleepy, after eating this particular type of meal. Why am I always feeling down? Like, and as Queen also says, it does have an effect on your mental health. It really, really does. But so does when you live in a neighborhood that doesn't have the essential services. So does when you look like around your neighborhood and the buildings are empty. So does when you live in a neighborhood and there's no place to get any food. So all these things play a part, amongst many other things. But all these things play a part into exactly why we are where we are now. And we can do it, but we got to start taking some steps.
Right, totally agree. And that goes into my next question to you, Alifala. How can you go into the role that race has played in the Black racism has played in the role in the Black community having situations where there's not grocery stores, where, we go to the corner store to go pick up food. What role has racism played in that to produce that type of outcome?
Well, simply, in terms of however you want to frame it, in terms of white supremacy, white racism, white fragility, however you want to label that, the beast, if they didn't treat your ancestors right, they ain't going to feed you right. Right. So that's a kind of a simple, kind of direct line to make. Another thing that actually plays a big role in terms of even the modern conception of soul food. It's a modern conception that a shift happened around 50s and 60s by what we kind of know as soul food today. Our ancestors really didn't eat like that. Nobody was working in the fields eating fried food 3 times a day. That didn't happen. You know what I'm saying? Nobody was eating fried bacon in the morning, was eating some fried chicken in the afternoon, and was eating, ribs for dinner. All right. So an important thing to realize is that when our ancestors were enslaved and brought here, they had a fuller diet, right? Even while they were enslaved. One of my friends, author Brian Terry, has some great books out on basically vegan soul food and things of this nature. But what he goes into is that we probably can name about a couple of types of greens that we eat in our family, a couple of types of beans that we eat in our family. Our ancestors in America, while they were enslaved, ate a larger range. And so part of what we can get back to is literally part of our ancestral diet. Even in the Americas, it was healthier than it is right now. Mm-hmm. With redlining, like even grocery stores were redlined, which people don't Understand? Here in New Haven, Hamden area in Connecticut, we have a grocery store called Stop and Shop. All right. We got 3 Stop and Shops. All right. They're all named Stop and Shop, but if you're from around here, you give them an extra name. There's the Jewish Stop and Shop. They carry the kosher stuff. They're over in terms of you go more up that way, the white way. There's Black Stop and Shop. Yes, the meat is going to be expired quicker than it is in the other Stop and Shops. There's the white Stop and Shop in Hamden, which, Lord, you can find any type of vegan item you want. You can find vegan pork rinds if you want to. You're going to find them at the white Stop and Shop, right? So this, even in terms of within the vicinity of an area, which is not that far apart, you can see how this demarcation has happened, right? A big part in terms of also the racism that happened. I grew up in New Haven, Connecticut. I grew up in a neighborhood called Newhallville. I grew up, I was little around late 70s, early 80s. That's when I was a little tyke and everything. When I grew up, even in my neighborhood, literally almost every family had a farm or had a garden in their backyard. I'm talking about the late 70s. Because they were only like one generation, if even removed from actually working, right? So we had greens and everything in our backyard. My neighbor across the way, she had grapes that my mother would make jelly out of, and it was great. A big part of the other war on drugs that happened, and we don't talk about, is that when crack was introduced into our neighborhoods and stuff, that a disconnection happened. And so literally from like the mid 80s on, those gardens disappeared. Right. So that's an effect of literally the war on drugs caused that to disappear. So then you had a generation that didn't know how to plant anymore. And another major thing, which I always tell every man you need to get your gears on, is to learn how to cook. Learn how to cook. And it's important because, one, it's been turned into a non-masculine thing, right? This woman's work to cook, right? And I'm like, God, you don't even know game, man. Like, get your cooking skills up. You want to impress a woman? Learn how to cook. Even if you got one good meal, one go-to meal.
Right.
That's a masculine stuff. And a lot of it has to, a lot of what I do with Hood Health is really reframe what I already know to be true, right? Like, we have to change the narrative in terms of that eating plants is somehow less masculine. You know what I'm saying? The first thing I tell people usually when we're talking, I'm like, you just need to start eating real food. I don't care if you eat meat or eating plants. First thing is go get off that processed stuff, right? So in order to do that, you have to learn how to cook. And when you cook, you have more options, But in terms of, overall racism, where we're at, we're behind several doors in terms of dominoes falling to where we are today. And a good diet, as was mentioned before, is not just essential for your physical well-being, but it's essential for your mental health-being, your mental well-being. And to also deal with the amount of trauma and stress, as was already mentioned, that we're dealing with. Even if you were able to get to the optimum level in terms of your eating, we're still in an environment that is anti-us, right? So we're dealing with levels of stress and trauma that other groups just aren't dealing with, So that's another reason why it's important to get your diet right, even before you get into this fight. You got to get your diet right.
Right. So true. Queen F, would you like to weigh in on this as well?
Well, the brothers pretty much put it together. It's about just having a new narrative when it comes to food. It's about changing the mindset of what it is and what it's for. It's about changing the palate. You got to take baby steps with people. I know I have several clients that, the first thing they want to say when they come to you is, oh, I can't come off my meat. I gotta have my chicken. I gotta have my this or my that. I said, well, you got to keep having that diabetes, that heart disease, and you got to keep having all those other things too. And until you're ready to let that go for at least a couple of weeks, there's 365 days in a year. I'm sure that for your health, for your mental health, for the family, for the cause, for whatever purposes you may deem important, you could take 30 days out of those 365 and do some rearranging when it comes to your mindset, when it comes to your ideal of what food is and what it's for. I mean, food is fuel. Food is medicine. We're supposed to eat responsibly. They say it with drugs and they say it with liquor, but food is medicine. Eat responsibly. It's been a long road. I have a family, of 10 aunts and uncles, and my grandmother was the farmer. She was the community cook. She would make the meals, and brothers from all over the neighborhood and sisters, families would come and get meals from my grandmother's house. She had the garden in the back, and what we didn't grow across the street in the field were greens just growing wild in the field. So we knew how to go over and pick collards and turnip and different greens and things like that. My grandfather had the food truck, so driving around the neighborhood and yelling, being on the back of the truck with my granddad driving, and he's yelling out watermelon, get your tomatoes and all this stuff straight from the garden and from other people that were in the neighborhood. Granddad would just put it all on his truck and sell it for everybody, and get the neighborhood eating, so it's not anything that's like unheard of. I'm 46. I saw it in my generation. It's nothing that's not unreachable, which is the purpose of one of the purposes of my company is to get people related back to the soil, get back to nature, and get their hands back in that soil. As one of the brothers that mentioned earlier, is getting your hands a little dirty, and seeing what that feels like. Seeing what that feels like. Just planting that seed and watering it and watching it grow is amazing. I just started growing in my kitchen this year, and I have tomato plants now. And I'm like looking at them like, wow, I really did that. Even though I work with other farmers, but for me personally to see it in my house, my soil, my hands, my effort, my blood, sweat, and tears into this plant, I'm like, wow. Soon I'll be able to, provide this for my mom in Indianapolis. I can send her some of the things that I've grown, and some of my neighbors here, next door. And, it's all about, just changing the whole narrative. And, we have a lot of things going on in the world, and that's truth. And that's always been that. So it's nothing really new for us as Black people, as African, as melanated folks. We have been through struggles and came through and keep going and keep going and keep going. And so now, at this time, it's like an opportunity for wellness people, for practitioners like ourselves, for traditional holistic practitioners to actually have these platforms and not just stop with this conversation, but when it's off, hey, what's your email? Let's connect. Where do you live? It doesn't even matter what state you're in, because connecting the bridges from one state to another state is just easy as coming on this call with 5 people that I recently just met the 2 of you. So now it's like, now we're bridging gaps. We're building bridges, and these are the important things that we need to focus on, and just changing the idea of what food is and what it means to what it really means for us and as a people, and as for our future and our children, for crying out loud. Come on, our little ones, our star seeds. They're hungry. I have a 7-year-old grandson. He's hungry for knowledge. Like, he's like, well, Nana, why do you do that? You have all these plants. He told me the other day, we laid down on my mat, and I have a lot of plants in my studio area. And I said, well, do you want to lay down on this end, or do you want to lay down on the other end? The one end was the end where the television was, and the other end is the plants and the sun coming in. And he said, well, I want to lay on this end because I like the smell of the plants. So, these are just, I'm just learning so much. This was yesterday and today. I'm like, these young people are just giving it to me. They're like letting me know, look, hey, don't leave us out. We are the way makers. Grab a hold of us, teach us, because we will learn if you teach us. This is a great time for that.
And we really have to be willing to take that time to actually teach them though. Like someone mentioned like a bit like ago, we don't want to take it's the one thing that we need to probably take the most time for, but we don't. That's to eat. So getting back to your point, Queen, like if we bridge the gap between understanding the importance of our food, how it helps our body, and create a different type of relationship with it, with the knowledge of how it can work, I think it can make a difference. But in the end, what it comes down to you for me is either you're going to pay for it now or you're going to pay for it later. And that's what it comes down to. People have this misnomer that healthy food is expensive. Not if you grow your own, it's not. No, it's not. Or if you understand how to shop on a budget, but still be able to incorporate some of these healthy things into it. Like we're not saying go from crap diets to veganism or 100% raw or organic. No, but if you actually broke down how much money you spend on fast food and compare it to a grocery bill, you may see a difference. But you got to be willing to spend that time to cook and to learn and to teach. But like I said, in the end, we're either going to pay for it now or we're going to pay for it later in bad health, this outcomes rather. So.
Yeah, and I wanted to bring in, even though I said I was going to go to the end, but some folks have posted some questions, so I did want to do that before anyone leaves. So that actually was the question as far as the cost of healthy foods. Any recommendations for those that are looking to make those changes, what they can do, to make it less expensive? Like, for example, like Whole Foods, me and my fiance, we joke, we call it whole paycheck because it's so expensive. So any recommendations for the young Black men that are out there and they're like, okay, I want to start eating healthy, but how do I start when you're starting to look at the expenses of it? Yep, yes, dear?
One thing that I think people can do is to start to put their money together and invest and buy things in bulk. So most of the things that you can find at Whole Foods, you can find it online cheaper, and then you can also find it. You can also get it in bulk. And I'm not talking about fruits and vegetables. Even though you can go and buy fruits and vegetables, what we used to do in Chicago, we used to have the big markets, and the trucks would go there to pick up stuff to take it to the grocery stores, and we would buy cases of oranges and apples and whatever other food that we wanted, broccoli, spinach. We would buy cases and then we would split it up, and so that's how we would lessen our expenses. So you could do things like that. You can find where the big market is, where the grocery stores or get their food from. You can, if you want to get stuff like bee pollen or spirulina or other type of products that are not perishable, then you can order those. You can put your money together and you can buy it in bulk, from a supplier. You can get wholesale prices and stuff like that. If you form certain types of organizations or business structures, you can buy things without having to pay taxes and stuff like that. You can get wholesale prices. So I don't know all the details about all those things. I think maybe I like know some of those details and stuff, right? But I know there's things you can do like that things that we used to do. But the other thing too is you have to have a consciousness. You have to, number one, think of your diet and what you put into your body as an investment. So. I'm 66, so I started doing this when I started doing this 45 years ago. So I looked at it as an investment. I looked at my yoga practice and my change in diet as an investment, so that when I get 66, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, I'm going to still be able to do the same stuff. I'm not going to be broken all down, just because I have reached a certain chronological age. So you got to prioritize. You can't, even if you don't have a lot of money, you got to take the money that you do have and invest it wisely into your body, because your body is something that you want to have in a state of health. You don't want to have a stroke when you're 50 or 60, and then you be debilitated for the next 20 years of your life, and then you die. That's not the type of life that you want to live. So you have to have some kind of foresight in the way that you're thinking and understanding that what I put into my body is having a very extreme effect, either on a negative level or on a positive level. If I eat that organic orange, it's going to have an extreme positive effect. It's going to put more time of healthy lifespan onto my life. You know, if I smoke that cigarette, if I drink that coffee, if I drink that beer, if I eat that fried chicken, it's a deficit I'm taking away. You know, so the practical thing, I just want to say this. I don't want to take up all the time, but I just want to say that very practically, breathe in the morning, get your water, get your food in your smoothie, and get your salad, like Chef Cordell was saying about eat your, you know, like I know when I'm in the Caribbean, they be eating their vegetables in the morning time, right? So get your vegetables into your body. Get you a blender and throw you some spinach and some kale in there with your smoothie and just blend it up and then drink it and you got it over with. You got your green leafy vegetables into your body. You know, these are very practical, simple things that you can do. And it doesn't cost that much. And if you're not spending your money for Kentucky Fried Chicken or whatever they call KFC and McDonald's and all that kind of stuff, you know, you're gonna have more money to invest into your fruits and vegetables because you really don't need that stuff. You don't have to fill your stomach all the way up with food. You only fill your stomach up maybe 2/3 of the way, and then you leave the rest of that space for digestion to take place. You know, but these are ways of thinking that you have to get back to the way that your ancestors were thinking and the way that they were behaving. You know, and so you cut your money expenses like that, and then having the unity with other people to invest and to congregate your resources so that you can expand the distance that your dollar can travel.
Yeah, and one other practical tip I think that people should look at to answer that question is to shop by the season. Okay, shopping by the season not only increases the quality of the product that you're going to get because it's in the season, but it's generally always cheaper. So right now we got melons, we got berries, we got melons, we got peaches, we got plums. Like summer is as we come into summer, that's my favorite season to shop in because everything is available for the most part. Winter you don't get as much. Spring is cool, but now though, like I said, apples, carrots, beets, berries, melons, like it's so much that you can get now. Some other practical tips. One thing that we do, we sometimes go to the grocery store hungry. Going to the grocery store hungry is one of the worst things that you can do because you're gonna buy any and everything well beyond your budget and well beyond your shopping list. Do not go hungry, and also make that grocery list too. That'll help you to stay within your budget. Stay away from canned stuff, except maybe canned beans. You can rinse those off to get that sodium off, but like I said, shopping by the season is the most important thing. And don't look at the organic and everything like that as the end all be all. There's a list called the Dirty Dozen list, and it's about 15 items plus of items that you absolutely, positively should buy organic. So those items are sprayed highly. Outside of that, a lot of the other stuff doesn't necessarily have to be organic, especially if you're looking to stay within a budget.
One thing I'd like to add is that a lot of people have the misconception, and I did as well when I had gained 75 pounds and I wanted to get rid of that waste. And I went to the grocery store and I bought an excess of everything. Like I just bought a bag of this and I bought a bunch of bananas and I bought, all this stuff because I'm going to make this change. And then, I wasted some of it, not knowing how to freeze, not knowing that what I can freeze, not knowing all these different things, just buying the stuff because in my mind, this is what I need to do. I tell my clients, go to the store, buy a couple of apples, buy a couple of oranges, buy just a few things. If you're working on changing your mindset when it comes to your relationship to food, it's about taking small steps and, kind of tricking yourself into, what it is that you really want. So taking it slow, and purchasing just a small quantity of things. And, like I said, the local farms near your area, find out who they are, find out when the farmers markets are. I mean, I know right now we are in this situation, but still a lot of the farms are still active. And there's Sweet Valley Farm here, they give out seedlings. So they literally grow little plants for you and they give them to you for free, between a certain hour on certain days, that you can just go and get your own plants and start your garden that way, by getting it from someone who's been doing it for several years with a lot of experience. So, it doesn't have to be expensive. It's just, they've made the family pack of chicken legs so inexpensive that you're thinking that, this other food, I got to have all this stuff on my plate in order for it to be a real plate of food, a real dinner or whatever. But it doesn't really take that much. Like Master Sear said, 2/3 of the way, you don't have to fill the belly all the way up, So just making those little small donations, as you spoke about, making those small deposits into your health by just buying small quantities of foods and vegetables.
I just want to say real quick, just like a few things real quick, because everybody just like bong, bong, bong. They all hitting it from every angle. Can't even stand. One, Ron Finley, the gangster gardener out in L.A. His famous quote is, growing your own food is like printing your own money. All right. And this gets back to what Master Yasir said in terms about the mindset, which is kind of the first thing you have to tackle when you go and you want to teach this to our community. And that's one of the main reasons I'm plant-based. I'm vegan and been so for forever and ever. I did probably everything. I did raw vegan. I don't know if there's anything that I didn't do. Yet at the end of the day, the reason that I went through all these different chambers was because the first time that plant-based diet veganism was introduced to me from the white community, it repulsed me in terms of the manner of presentation. So it's important in terms of that we go into our community with understanding, with compassion, understanding the path that we took to get to where we are. Also, in terms of that investment piece, which is very important, one thing that, the discussion I have a lot with a lot of young Black males is that mental health is a key thing, because if a young brother doesn't think that he's going to live past 23 or 22, he's just trying to live a fast life right then, because he know he's going to die. So part of that is changing that investment that it's important to get that mental health piece in there, and that compassion to understand how to draw them in terms of that they're valuable, that they're important, that we need you at your best. And this is why I'm teaching you all these keys of investment. When I usually talk to a lot of Black males in terms about changing some aspect of their diet, I'm like, how you looking? You got the newest Jordans and everything, but if you had on some bootleg Jordans, everybody be screaming on you. Meanwhile, you eating McDonald's, what I'm saying, some bootleg food over here, So when you can relate to certain things that they understand, it's like, yeah, if you want to put that much investment in your clothing to make sure that it's real and official, yeah, you need to bring it also with the food with the same level. And introduce it to them in such a manner, because in terms of especially fruits and vegetables, anyone who's picked a piece of fruit off the vine or a tomato off the vine and tasted it, it tastes better. Once they taste the difference, the first time I had a tomato off the vine, I got mad at grocery stores. I was like, what are you selling me? Why are you selling these flavorless tomatoes? And the important piece also about the flavor is that it's more nutritionally dense. So it's the quality of the food also. And so there's those two things together. We like to eat. Let's not put that to the side. We like to come together as Black people, eat, commune with each other, and celebrate. And there's no reason that has to be something that you get rid of by eating better. Not at all. Learn how to cook, get some nice essential elements, and you can go all in. And also, I mentioned it before, but I'll mention it in terms of the context, in terms of economics. Learning how to cook is also cheaper than buying, processed food, your frozen food, all that. And also another thing, which my parents knew how to do, and I'm actually learning also, is learn how to do some stuff ourselves. No, it is not. You shouldn't buy, a whole bunch of canned foods and stuff at the grocery store, but you should learn canning yourself. Because this is how our parents, our grandparents got through lean times. We had a big bounty during the harvest. You put some aside, and I wanted to mention, this has nothing to do with anything, but I was born in Chicago, Illinois, Cook County. I just want to put that out there. I'm in New Haven now. I grew up here, but it's important because we had hurricanes here. We've had snowstorms here where electricity and stuff went out. My parents always had a kerosene lamp and always had food in the pantry. That's essential. And even to the time that we're in now, you went in the store, there was no toilet paper, and there's also been food missing, right? It's important and it's economical. Like I said, buy in bulk, store some away, share with your neighbor, get back to the community thing, because it's also something that is not hyper individualistic. It's something that we can do together, and that also pushes the narrative in terms of health being something, mental and physical health being a collective understanding of the health and wellness of our community. If I'm eating well and I'm all healthy and everything, and everybody around me is sick, I'm sick up here. I'm mentally sick up here because I'm selfish. I'm just focusing on me. And at the end of the day, the whole community is not well, then I'm not well also.
Amen.
Wow. I don't know what to say after that. No, excellently put. There's a couple questions that we have in the comment section I just wanted to throw out to you all. And then I do want to talk a little bit about the benefits of yoga practice and meditation practice, and also CBD oil, how that can also help. And again, we're focusing on the health and wellness of Black men. Someone had asked any recommendations for men that they don't know how to cook. Any recommendations on what they can do to learn? Anybody can start that off.
I offer cooking classes nightly. Actually, go check out my website, www.chefcordell.com. We're actually going to be doing some cooking classes actually focused on that for men coming up in the next few weeks. So we're in the middle of a series now where we're doing low carb meals, heart healthy meals, cooking on a budget, and then we do breakfast. But coming up in the middle of next month is when I think the next set of classes come. We will definitely have a class for men. I'm working on the title right now, but the goal is to teach them new go-to dishes so that are healthy and flavorful. So, hey, man, I got you. I got you. Shoot me like an email, info@chefcordell.com. info@chefcordell.com.
Okay, so I just put your website in the comment section.
Okay, yeah.
Anyway. Mm-hmm.
Well, put the other information too, if you don't mind, because I don't have those classes listed on the website, but they will have to shoot me like an email first, and I can send them.
Okay.
Yeah. But thank you though, I appreciate it.
There we go. And then someone else had asked about bee pollen. They wanted to know if it had any serious side effects.
The main side effect is that it makes you healthier.
I love it.
It gives you energy. Now, of course, if some people have different types of allergies and stuff like that, but even if you have allergies, like say some people have allergy to the pollen that's in the air, bee pollen can actually help to boost your immune system in such a way that the pollen doesn't affect you as much. You know, like you might have what they call a hay fever. You know, I know a lot of people like in Atlanta, like even when I'm in Atlanta, there's so much stuff in it, you know, so much pollen in the air in the springtime. I'd be like, whoa, it even bothers me. But bee pollen helps with that. And so there's no negative side effects I know of unless you have some very specific allergy or something like that, you know. But again, like it's a superfood. It has all your amino acids. Amino acids create protein, right? And so when you take bee pollen, it takes the place of having meat or eggs or cheese and stuff like that, you know, because they have everything in it. If I make my smoothie with my bee pollen, my spirulina, my fresh juice, and some strawberries and blueberries, and maybe some cordyceps powder. Cordyceps is like a type of a mushroom, right? I'll go ride my bike 40 miles. I don't have no other food in my body. I just have that and some water. And I could go ride 40 miles on my bike, come back, you know, like lots of energy. So that's the only side effect it's going to give you. It's going to make you have energy. And it's really good for men too, okay? Because men, you know, you know, sometimes men have different issues that they need to deal with to make themselves, you know, more virile, and you know, it helps with that area also, you know, and it strengthens the blood vessels throughout the body, and you know, for it to have a good erection, I just say it, you know, have a good erection, that's blood. That's blood coming to your blood vessels. So that bee pollen increases all of that potency. It helps to produce all of these foods, just to be serious, right? Men, we have something called testosterone, which makes us men. Testosterone is what makes us into a man, and you need to manufacture this. Your body needs to create this. You don't want to take it from the external, like some kind of synthetic food. You want to allow your body to continue to create it. And so, so the bee pollen, the spirulina, all of your different foods help to create that. The fluids in your body, your semen, is made from what you eat. You cannot make no semen from no pork chop or no chicken and stuff. But you can get your semen from some kale. You can get your semen from some, from some nuts, like some almonds and walnuts and Brazil nuts and pumpkin seed. These are things you can put into, you can make pumpkin seed milk. You can throw some pumpkin seeds into your smoothie, and intensify the effect of it, You have these different issues, with ED and all that other kind of stuff. Alcohol is a depressant. People they drink and they think, oh, I'm gonna go have me a good time. All you're doing is knocking yourself out of the game. You're depressing your prostate gland, you're basically destroying it. You're destroying your brain cells. You're destroying all the cells throughout your body. If you smoke a cigarette, that cigarette smoke goes into every cell of your body, because that cigarette smoke goes into your lungs and it passes into your bloodstream, and your blood carries it into every cell in your body every time you take a puff of that cigarette. And I know it's a lot of young people who still smoke cigarettes, right? So this is serious business we're talking about. So you got to get the right stuff and put it into your body, and then anybody who got some questions for me, you can always email me. And I'll send, if you email me, I will send you a package. Right? And anybody who's listening now, you email me, I'll send you a package with a step-by-step diet change and transition You can talk to Queen Neff, and she could take you through a program. She could put you on a program of complete diet change and health rejuvenation. You know, and everybody else who's here can do the same thing.
Okay, and I'm going to put your email in the chat box so that way people can reach out.
Yeah, YIRSCR@yogaskills.com.
So I'm going to do that. And while I type that out, Queen Neff, can you start bringing in the conversation about CBD oil? So you have, you were with Wakana, right? You were a dispensary, am I saying this correctly? Owner. So can you talk about, for the men that are listening, what are some of the benefits of using this for Black men that may be listening?
Well, to go straight in, we're talking about erectile dysfunction. We're talking about circulation. We're talking about, rest. We're talking about inflammation. There's a lot of benefits that CBD has for the body. There are 10 receptors. There's 10 systems that the cannabinoids or CBD connects to. And basically this endocannabinoid system, this indigenous cannabinoid system that we all have and have had, doesn't get the cannabinoids that it needs in order to regulate these different systems. Our system, our brain, our heart, our liver, our lungs, our digestive system, our stomach, all of these different receptors in our body that don't receive that CBD, and we find ourselves in this imbalance. I promote nutrition through plant-based foods, and CBD is just one of those plants that has been looked over, has been put on the back burner as far as being terrible, actually. Like it's the worst thing ever. But there are huge amounts of benefits in the cannabis plant, and CBD just happens to be the direction that I decided to take when it came to the plant as of now. So it's a non-psychoactive effect. You don't have the same effects as you do when you ingest THC, which is also one of the components of the cannabis plant. And even through CBD, you still get a small percentage, less than 0.3% of THC is extracted from the hemp plant, but that is the part that's already in the plant as it is. So, but the main component is the cannabinoids. So what happens is, let's say we have a deficiency in diabetes. If someone is diabetic, they have too much sugar, too much sugar in the blood, too much sugar in the urine. CBD goes in and kind of acts as a barrier against, allowing that sugar to penetrate into the bloodstream, and it helps to balance out any irregularities that we have. Man, it's an amazing. I mean, I talk about it like all the time. It's just it's like you almost have to try it to actually understand what it does for you, because you expect there has such a stigma on the plant, so you want to go in with this idea of what it's going to do, and then I'm going to be driving around and being silly and but it's not that at all. It's a very calming, very delicate approach to finding homeostasis, to bringing that body into balance. It's a very gentle way of doing that. And daily I take CBD, usually just 6 drops in the morning as a regular part of my regimen every day, And like last night, I woke up around 3 o'clock in the morning, about 3:20 in the morning. I woke up, I was feeling like a cold was coming on. And so I was like, oh, no, because this is definitely not the time to start feeling that way. So I don't know really what it was, temperature, whatever it was. I was feeling that first initial feeling. So I immediately got up. I took one of my tinctures that I make, one of my immune system tinctures with elderberry and faux tea and some other wonderful things that I add together. And then I made sure that I took 30 drops of my CBD. I took 30 drops of my CBD, and I also took what we have, it's called First Defense, which is a nasal spray that was formulated specifically for the COVID-19. And it's got about 19 essential oils in it, and it goes into the nasal passage and really helps to clear out a lot of the mucus and open up that the respiratory system. So it did it immediately for me. I did one squirt up each nose. It also has CBD in it as well. So it's penetrating into my system, it's getting in, and it helped to express a lot of the mucus that I had. And that all happened within about 15 to 20 minutes at 3 something in the morning. And I was like, and plus, you know, with everything, it's affirmations, it's positive intention. This is going to work for me. This is going to be great for me. This is what my body needs right now at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm telling my body that you're going to accept these items. We're going to process this, and we're going to remove whatever it is that's in us, because we don't have time for this. We have other things that we have to do. So the body responded within 15 to 20 minutes. I was feeling much better. I felt even more, less anxiety, because at first it did kind of give me a little bit of anxiety, because I'm thinking, you know, this is not the time to get sick. You know, this is not the time to be in the hospital or going to visit a doctor, which I don't do anyway, but you know, this is just not the time for that. And so, with the combination of my other herbs, and we also have other essential herbs that are in our products, because we believe in plant-based products. It's all vegan products. Even our gummies are vegan products, and they help to balance out that anxiety level. I use it with veterans who have PTSD. A lot of my veterans clients are on my CBD products. It helps with epilepsy. I mean, there's several studies that are out there that talks about the benefits of what CBD is and what it does for you. And I always recommend that people, you know, go onto my website, look at the products, research the products, read about them, and then go off of the website and just start Googling, finding out, you know, what it is that this endocannabinoid system is. And you can always give me a call and we can talk about it more. I like to talk about people's issues and what it is that's affecting them, because you know, I'm a solution-based person. So it's like, okay, problem, what's the solution? Like, how are we going to fix this? I don't want to just dwell in what the issue is. Let's figure out how we can combat that. And CBD is always my first go-to, even in my Thai massage service. When I use my intuitive energy body work, I use my CBD topical products for pain relief. I mean, it helps to relieve pain, because that's what is one of the benefits of CBD. And it's people want to know what the effects of it are, or what would be, you know, something that what would be the side effects of it. And I just basically say, if you don't take it, then that is, you know, pretty much what Bobby here said. You know, if you don't use it, then you don't get the benefit of it. So yeah.
Thank you. And I put your website in the chat box, so that way people can check out the products that you offer. And so I know we're coming close to a little bit over our time, so I'll start to wrap things up. But Isir, I did want to bring up the importance of men having a yoga practice and meditation, because to be honest, a lot of times when you see yoga, it's usually not people that look like us, right? It's like if you go to like a yoga studio, or if you purchase a yoga magazine, many times it's like middle-class white women. So can we talk a little bit about the importance of and the benefits of Black men developing their own yoga practice and meditation practice?
Yeah, well, I would say a couple of things. First of all, I'm gonna say that when we say comedic yoga, but comedic yoga is not really yoga like the way that these other modern commercial yoga is, right? It's really a science that comes from our ancestors, right? And it's based upon the goal of transformation. It's not based upon the goal of I want to get more flexible. That is like the least most irrelevant as the least important and most irrelevant aspect of the practice of yoga. Getting flexible is not what you're trying to do. And one of the things I think that turns off men too is that they see the little skinny white girl, or they see a little skinny Indian man in a diaper, and he's 5'1" and stuff, and he's doing all this twisting up stuff, and they think this is what yoga is. Yoga is a system of self-development. When we do kinetic yoga, we're doing breathing, we're doing geometric poses and postures with the intention that we're going to connect with something above and beyond our physical self, right? That we're going to connect with nature, we're going to connect with the universe, you can say, we're going to connect with our ancestors, but we really want to connect with ourselves. We as people, we as human beings, we have an infinite amount of potential that we have been taught that we cannot achieve because we live in an oppressive environment that tells us that we can't do things that we really can do. So for example, in ancient Africa and in Africa period, the goal of living, one of the goals of living is self-realization. Number one, realizing who you truly are. What is your true nature and what is your true potential? And then the second aspect of that is learning self-actualization. How do I take my understanding of my newly discovered self, my understanding that I am God-like? How do I take that understanding and then apply it into creating my own reality, right? And so yoga is, we do movements and we do postures, we do breathing, we do meditation, but the purpose of it is to develop the mind and to give us the mental capacity to live without fear and to live without guilt and to live in a way where we are solidly conscious of who we are, and everything that we do is done with a concise purpose to achieve a particular goal, right? And so one of the things that we as men and as anybody need to do is to break out of this idea of fear and guilt, because fear and guilt is what is taught to us in this westernized Christian type of matrix that we exist in. So we are told to be afraid of God. We got to fear God. We're told that God is going to punish us if we commit a sin. So we're scared to commit a sin, and the sin is only defined by them. When you put in this bad stuff into your body, that's a sin, because you are defiling your own temple. And so that's one of the first things. I'm not saying I'm not trying to put down religion. I'm just you got to put forth the spiritual part of what we're doing from any perspective. So kinetic yoga is about ma'at. It's about looking at the universe and seeing that there's a certain order, there's a certain balance, there's a certain reciprocity and things like that we can see manifested in the universe, and that then we're going to try to live our lives in a way that we are in alignment with that concept called ma'at. And so by doing that, we're going to automatically eat correctly. By doing that, we're going to automatically treat our bodies correctly. By understanding that, we're going to automatically treat our mate and our friends and our family and our neighbors in the correct way. We're going to treat nature in the correct way. We're going to have a symbiotic relationship with nature. So we're going to farm our food. We're going to take our food from nature. And we're going to see that we are one with nature. We're not going to destroy it. You know, this is Africa. So when we talk about Kemetic yoga, we're talking about an African way of consciousness, right? And so, from a male perspective, so let's just get into the health aspect very briefly. From a health perspective, the first thing that we learn how to do in yoga is lay on the floor, put our hands on our chest, and breathe in slowly and breathe out slowly, and relax and release and let go of all the tension, all the anxiety, all the fear, all of the conditioned thoughts and stuff that's in our consciousness. If you learn how to do that, you will make such a tremendous difference in your health and your well-being status that it'll change who you are. And then from there we learn how to do, so the breathing is the foundation. We call the breath, we call the life force in the air Ankh, right? And we try to use that breath because the respiratory, I know I don't have a whole bunch of time, but the respiratory system, right, is called respiratory. The middle part of the word respiratory is spirit. So every time you take a breath, you are re-spiritizing yourself. So you are connecting yourself to the divine. You are connecting yourself to spirit. That is where the power comes from in the practice of yoga, not from how, if you can put your legs behind your head and all that kind of stuff. Is, am I able to breathe and am I able to bring life into my body and create consciousness from that process? So that's the first thing that you do in yoga. And if you learn how to do that, you would lower your blood pressure. You would help your diabetes. You would help your kidney issues, right? You would manage your stress. And when you start to manage your stress and break out of fear, you start to get along with other people better. You start to get along with yourself, with your mate, because you're not acting out of stress and you're not reacting out of fear, because stress and fear are part of the same matrix, right? Because when you feel stress, it's because you have a fear that you're going to get injured or damaged in some way. So you react with stress. When you're driving down the street, you see the cop pulling you over, that's a fear because that cop might kill you or put you in jail or give you an unfair ticket or whatever it is. So that's stress. And we experience macro stress from just living and being in black skin, and we experience micro stressors, right? From little things that people are always doing, little symbols that we always see wherever we look, wherever we turn, we see ourselves portrayed in a very negative light, and so on and so forth, right? And people do little things to us. They watch us, they follow us, they pull away from us, they do all kind of stuff, and we can feel these things, right? Those are like what they call microaggressions, right? So we don't want those things to have an effect and to lodge onto our spirit or to lodge into our central nervous system. So we use the inhalation and the exhalation. When we inhale, we bring the power of life into the body. When we exhale, we release all of this negative, unhealthy stuff, that they're trying to surround us with. And that's where we get our power back from. And once we start to breathe, we're going to get the knowledge and the wisdom to refrain from eating bad things. And our bodies will desire to only consume good stuff, because we're going to put that natural wisdom back into our being, back into the cells and the atoms that make up our body. because our body knows what it wants. That's when I first, when I was a teenager, I smoked a cigarette. First thing I almost threw up, right? You get sick, you start coughing because your body's saying like, "Oh, this is bad," you know. But then you can keep smoking, and then you'll get used to it. And your body said, "Well, you're going to keep doing it. Well, I'm just going to accept it. I'm going to adapt to it," you know. And so we eating all of this stuff that's killing us. And only reason we're not paying attention to it is because of the fact that our bodies have adapted to it. And we say, "Oh, this is it's normal, this is natural." But you're eating the carcass, right? Many times we're eating the carcass of a dead animal. That's what we're doing. We're eating the dead carcasses and we're putting those into our bodies. And our body is alive. We take something dead and we put it into a live body. Okay, that's why we say we want to become, we want to eat live food. We want to eat plant-based. Not to say you're going to eat everything that's a plant, but you want to get as close to that as you can, because the more dead stuff you put into your body, the more dead your body is going to become. You know, so you want to minimize that. And even if you eat a piece of meat, you should, if you have a plate, your plate should be a whole lot. Your plate every day you should have a raw salad. You should have some steamed vegetables. And if you have a piece of meat, it should be like a little tiny piece, and it should be that maybe once every couple of weeks. You don't have to be every day and every meal. So I could go on and on. I wish.
I think those are good points, because I think what it does is it shows the incremental steps that we can take. And so kind of breaks it down into bite-sized pieces to begin to make those incremental changes, because sometimes someone can get overwhelmed with thinking, I got to change my whole life, because it is a lifestyle change. It's not just changing your diet. I think the conversation that everyone has said tonight, that this is really a whole lifestyle change. This is mind, spirit, soul, body. Everything has to change. That's what real health means. Just not eating healthy, but also your physical fitness, also your spiritual, your mental, your emotion, all of that goes into the wellness of a person. And so as we wrap up our conversation, unfortunately, because I'm so interested in what everybody has to say, like this could go on for another hour or so. But understanding with time, as we come to wrap up our conversation tonight, and hopefully this leads to future conversations, starting with you, Chef Cordell, I would like to know some takeaways that our listeners, that you can give our listeners, that they can start making some changes to their diet, like when they are going to the grocery store. What are some takeaways? And after you provide that information, if we could go to Alifallah. Thank you.
Sure. I'll make it very quick. One, be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself. Be willing to make the change. Take small steps to make it. Don't try to bite off huge chunks, because that makes it very, very difficult. Take it step by step, but continue making progress. There may be times where you do mess up, but get back on the train, but just do not stop. Try something different by opening yourself up potentially for breakfast. For vegetables, rather, at breakfast time. You know, start to incorporate some fruits that you're more accustomed to, but then feel free to step out of that box, like maybe kiwi, maybe papaya, maybe something that you have not tried, but being willing to make that effort. We make the effort on everything else that we want to do. People always put time and effort into the things that they want to do. It never fails. You have to want to be healthy in order to live longer, so we can work with our kids, so we can just have that family time. But we cannot continue to destroy ourselves the way that we're doing it at this point. We have to do better, but we got to be honest about it. That's all I got.
Thank you, Chef Cordell. Alifallah.
I always wonder, where am I supposed to be looking in my computer? But
Dude, I've been going through that all night.
the mic moves over here. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, okay. To bring it back to the framework of for men, for Black men, I would say first off, it's really a mental shift, but understand this is our stuff. Like we don't have to go outside of ourselves to write to adopt somebody else's history or someone else's practices about this. This is our stuff. Use this kind of instrument here. You can either use a pen, you can also use a pencil, you can use a crayon, you can also use a marker. Write things down. Write down the change that you want to make in your life. Write down what your values are. Write down what your goals are. Write down who are the important people in your life. And then realize that in order to reach your goals, in order to embody your values, in order to be the best that you can be for the people in your life, that you have to be at the top of your game. The top of your game is you being mentally, physically at your peak, And in order to do that, you got to work. You got to put in some work. And this is warrior. Yeah, I know we curse on here. This is warrior stuff.
Come on. Yes, sir. Come on.
All right.
Yes, sir.
This is warrior stuff. All right. We're in a war right now. We've been in a protracted war ever since we were brought to a land that isn't ours. And in order to be the best that you can be, especially where we are this very moment in time, you got to be better. You got to do better. You got to get hardcore. They took so many distractions off of right now. But, they took sports off TV. Some people are at home and self-quarantine now. You're not distracted right now. Take this time as much as you can and put that investment in yourself. We come from lines of warriors, priests, scholars, whatever it is. We did it first, and we want to continue to push into the future. And so the most simple, back to the basic, the most simplest thing you can do is to write it down so you can see it every day and hold yourself accountable the same way we try to hold other people accountable to visiting violence upon our body. We need to hold ourselves accountable for visiting violence upon our body knowingly and unknowingly.
Beautiful. Yeah. Write a vision. Write it down so that way you can see it, believe it, constantly see it in front of you.
Look in the mirror. Mm-hmm. Look at yourself in the mirror for several minutes. Not just to groom, get it right, but look at yourself and realize who you are. Make those affirmations. Get up every morning. But like I said, we got to do the work. It doesn't happen by mystic, magical, mumbo jumbo, anything else. You know what I'm saying? It happens by putting in the work. And that's where we're at right now. We're at a point now where we just have to put in the work.
So true. Queen Neff?
Yes. Oh, wow. Yeah. You guys I'm sitting up here just enjoying being a listener.
I know. I got to remember that. Kai, you got to ask a question. This is good.
This is wonderful. Still, I mean, the same rules. Just being serious. If you're ready to make a change and you need some guidance, then we are 5 people that are willing and wanting and have put our complete energy and life into helping others achieve, greatness, optimal health. And, if you're serious about wanting to make a change in your life and working on your mental health and, starting something new for yourself, mind, body, spirit, rebalance, reboot, this is the time and the opportunity is right here in front of you. So I just say, hey, we just keep doing our work and connecting with each other, brothers and sisters, and putting our feet, getting our feet to the ground. If that's what it is, then that's what we need to do. And I'm ready. I'm always ready.
That's good.
Yes, I love it. And Yasir, to close us out, thank you so much, our master comedic yoga teacher. When you said yes to this, I was like, oh my goodness. That was such a blessing because I know that you are extremely busy. So if you just such gratitude to everyone here. Thank you so much. So Yasir, your thoughts on steps that the men that are listening can take now to begin to make those changes in their lives.
Okay, well, like I say, first thing is learn to just, you got to learn, you have to, the trauma and the stress is part of the foundation of what's killing us. It alters our behavior, and it oftentimes it gives us a sense of hopelessness, like what my brother Life Allah was saying, that it gives us a sense of hopelessness, like I'm only gonna live until I'm 23 and stuff like that, and I see this all the time. So we have to deal with the trauma, the internal trauma. That trauma is built up into the cells of the body, it's built up into our fabric. And so the first step to break the cycle of abuse that we are in. So we are in an abusive relationship with ourselves. So even if we just eating bad food, that bad food is drugs disguised as food, right? It's not really food. If it's food, food has a specific definition. So we're talking about drugs disguised as food. And this having an effect upon our consciousness, it's having an effect upon our brain chemistry. So we have to break the cycle. To break the cycle, we have to do the relaxation. We have to relax by learning how to breathe. We have to meditate by learning how to breathe. We have to become aware and become mindful through learning how to breathe, right? And so that's the first step that you have to do. Second step, drink some water. Just drink a whole lot of water. When you're hungry, drink some water, and the water is gonna help to flush you out. It's gonna push the stuff out your kidneys and do a whole bunch. It's gonna irrigate your tissues, especially your mucous membranes. Your mucous membranes are like a sponge. If you see like a dry sponge, and you see when that sponge is dry, it's hard. But when you put some water with it, it becomes pliable. That's how your sinuses are. Your sinuses are part of your mucous membranes, your throat, your chest, so on and so forth. So you have to drink water. You have to irrigate yourself. You got to get your fruit, every morning. Just start off get you some oranges, eat some apple, eat some, like Brother Chef Cordell was saying, get you some kiwi fruit. That's full of vitamin C and stuff like that, just do basic little things. Get you some juice. Squeeze some lemon or some lime into your water, and drink that. That has a tremendous effect in terms of giving you the vitamin C and the cleansing that you need, and make sure you have a good bowel movement every single day. These are very simple things, but they're fundamental. You must get rid of whatever you eat is going to turn into weight. It's going to have some waste left over. You got to get that out of your system. And so having those bowel movements, take a dump every day. Make sure you take that dump. You should take a dump every time you have a meal. You eat 3 meals a day. You should have 3 good dumps a day, And that's why everybody is buying the toilet tissue. But
that was the icing on the cake. That was the icing on the cake. Take a dump. Just take a dump.
That makes a tremendous difference. People, constipation. Most people walking around America are dehydrated and constipated. And so that's affecting your mind and your behavior. I used to teach some little kids, and this one little girl, she was always so angry and stuff. I said, how often do you go to the bathroom? She told me like once every 2 weeks. Now her girl's about 9 years. So it makes a huge difference, to start to do these basic fundamental things. You don't have to become a vegan. You don't have to become a health nut and all this kind of stuff, but drink your water. They go, Chef Cordell, he's modeling this behavior for us.
Yes. Wata.
What's up?
And then move your body. Walk. You don't have to do a whole lot of yoga movements. Just walk. Walk around the block 5 times or something like that. That'll make a tremendous difference in your well-being. Just walking around. Get into some sunshine. When you go outside, you don't have to wear no mask when you're outside in the park and stuff. You wear a mask if you go to the store or you're in a crowded place. Other than that, you don't need to wear no mask walking down the street. I saw an older man walking down the street, and he was older. He had some kind of health issues, and he had this mask on his face. I wanted to stop and tell him, sir, you don't need to wear that mask just walking down the street. But I can't. I'm not going to interfere with his day like that. But so this understanding practical things. A fresh green leafy salad, not no iceberg lettuce salad, but some green leafy kale or romaine or endive, all those different types of lettuces. Get some real lettuce and get you some onions, put some tomatoes, put you some avocado, put you some garlic in there and cook it up, and eat that. Get a big green leafy salad because that's going to flush out your system. Even if you eat meat, that's going to help to push all the stuff out your system, because you got 23 and you got 6 feet of intestine that you got to get stuff to go through. That's a lot. That's a lot of tubing and piping in your system, and so you got to flush all of that stuff out. So I could go on and on and on, but those are basic things that you have to do. And get your smoothie and get your energy drink. Get your different ingredients and get your superfoods into your body. If you did some of these basic things that we've been talking about, I know some people listening probably already do those and more, but I'm sure that there's a lot of people who may not do none of that, So doing these things is really, really important.
No, thank you for that. And that's the thing, because people that are listening, they can then pass this message on to friends and family that maybe they've been trying to have a conversation with them about eating healthy. But sometimes hearing it from somebody else can be the factor that causes them to make a change. So I just want to say I'm so appreciative of everyone who took the time to watch on Facebook and YouTube. And for those that have been commenting in the chat and leaving questions, thank you so much. And of course, to my wonderful guest here, Yasser, Chef Cordell, Alai Falah, and Queen Neff, thank you so much for this opportunity. I consider it an honor and a privilege to have this conversation with you. So thank you for being on this panel and really providing some insight to the Black men in our lives so that they can really value who they are and not just being seen as a utility, but as people that we value and we respect and that we love. So thank you so much for that. For those that are listening, please make sure you join me on Thursday. That's the panel that we have also at 8 p.m. We'll be live again on Facebook and YouTube. That's our mental health panel. So we are going to be talking about what Yasser had mentioned is that trauma. We're going to be talking about racial trauma, intergenerational trauma. So we'll be talking about that on Thursday right here, Facebook and YouTube live at 8 p.m. So please make sure you tune in for that. And with that being said, I hope everyone has a wonderful evening. Goodbye.
Can I say one more thing?
Right.
Of course.
I want to say thank you, Kai, for creating this. I met you a few years ago in Jamaica when you came to get your certification for yoga.
Yes.
And you, I've seen a whole nother aspect of you. And I'm seeing that you are a leader, that you have fire in your, you have fire in your personality. And you have a lot of drive, and I appreciate you putting together these things and being a leader in our community.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Kai. Thank you, Kai. This was awesome.
Absolutely awesome. Thank you so much. Gratitude.
Indeed.
A pleasure meeting you brothers too.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And we're just getting started.
This is amazing.
We're meeting my two brothers here, and
Right.
I know Queen Neff already. She's
Oh,
the one who massaged my body and keeps my body straight. Yeah.
All right, I have to eat, so I'm going to bid you guys adieu. I am starving like Marvin.
Okay, so we're gonna close off this broadcast. Hold on one sec. Okay. So we're gonna end.